Look outside yourself and not in. Bridging the gap between professional success, personal fulfillment, making sure that life is not a zero-sum game. Author of Success Redefined, the magnificent, the one and only Nancy Ho. Thank you so much for joining me.
My pleasure.
Now, that was far too short an introduction, and obviously I missed out so much in your 12 years of life. And you just said you recently celebrated a magnificent birthday. Would you be so kind? Introduce yourself properly to my listeners.
Sure. I'm Nancy Ho. I'm a life strategist, a transformative coach and executive coach, and a thought leader in the paradox of success. And I've been in this business for the longest period almost my entire adult life, 27 years. There's only one thing I'm interested to do, that is to take a person. And of course, when I say an individual, doesn't necessarily mean individual, the individual that runs the company, that manages the company, from point A to point B, whatever that means for the person, and living a life with no regret. That's the only I've been doing all my life, adult life. Yes.
Living a life with no regrets. I think that's possibly something that the more I speak to people in their midlife, especially execs, senior people who have been successful, they've got the money, they've got the position, they've got the power, and all the trappings, they turn and they say, and yet, Nancy, there's something missing.
Yes. And that something missing often is not even so-called tangible. That means they can, measure it. Okay. So for example, if someone says that, oh, I do not have enough wealth. All right. I do not have a good relationship. Relationship is tangible, but something you can actually even describe it in the sense of tangible. But it is often a feeling that is awful, but they cannot quantify. Okay. Of course, the best way they can describe is like void. Something just don't sit well. Something is just missing. And again, they go through the list, everything tick. They tick the box. They tick the box, right? Yeah. So it often even they feel bad talking about it because it's like, hello, you tick the box and what is your complaint? But they can't help to go to sleep, probably can't go to sleep, suffering from insomnia of some kind, having that disturbed mind, waking up just not feeling joyful, not feeling good. And it's not that they want to be ungrateful for the life they have, but they can't help but feel bad. And this is so common, particularly in the developed countries.
It's the first world problem, isn't it? Loneliness is a first world problem. Depression is a first world problem. It's the void. You're staring into the void from your penthouse flat with your lovely cars and your gorgeous family and whatever. And there's nobody you can genuinely talk to because anybody you turn to and say, and yet I'm missing something. And exactly as you said, the response is, how dare you? How dare you be missing something?
Exactly. So, and really, like I said, they do not, it's not that they want to pick on, nitpick, but really the feeling is so real. I'm not trying to sound morbid here. And we have seen around the world, particularly like say the Hollywood star, they have the looks, they have the body, they have the power, they have whatever you want to describe. But why they are overdosed, why they become an alcoholic, okay? And unfortunately, some of them even take their life. Not that I'm saying we all will end up doing that, but it's an example that they've got it all. And then it's just too much for them to handle. And of course, we have this amygdala, the emotional brain. Once it's activated, it's like fight or flight. But what is that to fight when I've got everything and I'm complaining? And flight, where do I run away to? I run away what? All right. They still have responsibility. They know they at the height of the company, they need to do this, and they are in the leadership role. They have to have responsibility as a family man and so on and so forth, or woman, whatever case. So the other flight for some of this, Hollywood stars, people that we know of. So the ultimate flight is take their life because that gives an appearance like I solved my problem.
Yeah, permanent solution to a temporary problem.
Yeah.
This too shall pass, I think is a good mantra. Correct. This too shall pass.
Correct.
You're fighting, you're flighting. You're fighting the only thing left to fight, which is yourself. You're running, you're flying from the only thing left to run from, which is yourself. And if you're trying to run away from you, what is there?
What is there to run? Where else to run? You get me? And it surprised you that a lot of this feeling is not about the present. It's not about the problem in the organization, the problem with your general manager or even your wife or your children. It has the appearance that is about the present, but what it is actually, a lot of times, the trigger comes from, that's the trigger, the present is the trigger, but the root cause comes from the childhood. Yeah, very subconscious. So therefore, we cannot see it.
But the nice thing about a learned activity, this is a learned response to something that's happened. Okay, so something's happened, you've learned our response to it. But the nice thing about that means you can learn the solution.
Okay, we manage. Okay, life is not hunky-dory.
No, a good word. It's a very good word, hunky-dory.
Yeah, it's not hunky-dory, right? It's not called life, right? Life is challenges, and that's great. That's how we grow. So we learn to manage, and then we manage better. So we learned all kinds of skills and techniques and strategy and all that. All that's all very positive. But when we cannot manage this, like I said again, this strange feeling, all right, then it's something from the childhood. And I don't mean that a person has to have some dark, really dark childhood, violent or anything like that. May not. You see, just to give a very simple example, when we're young, right? We go to school, we went to school, and then we just have to get better grades, and so on and so forth. So sort of so-called the obvious firefight, that we get better, and then we go get a job, we graduated, and then boy meets girl, then we get married, and then we have children, and then another firefight. So a lot of things are being suppressed; they're not being addressed. Okay, so therefore, this feeling always comes out only when we are much older, and more so when we are more successful, because it's like the firefight or the busyness of getting this, achieving this, so on and so forth. Okay, now all that is done. Now what? Just like an athlete, right? After they go to Olympic game and win they become the gold medalist, right? They got the gold medal. And then now what?
Yeah. What mountain is there left to climb?
Correct.
Was it Genghis Khan? I'm not sure if it was Genghis Khan or one of the conquerors stood on the shores looking out and cried because there were no worlds left to conquer.
Correct. But this is something the business school don't address. This is something, it's just something that just keep going, going for your dream, your desire, and, be positive and so on and so forth, right? So we have been conditioned that way, and it's not negative, it's positive, right? Of course, one mustn't just waste their life away. We want to live life to our fullest potential. All granted is good. But what I'm saying is when people do not address what may be an issue in their life, okay, it will pop up somewhat. And that also will show up in their leadership also, okay? That will also show up how they lead the team, or how, or some gaps, it show up. So when I work with the C-suites like yourself, C-suites, meet managers and all that, the one thing I do is I just sit and listen to them as I'm listening to the gaps. Okay, my work is a bit different. I don't go and talk about leadership and all that. You're expert in that. My role is more so I listen to the gaps. All right, I'll just listen. Then I become their sounding board. That's it. Okay, wait a minute. All right, what you just said, I can see this a gap. I can see this would then have this whatever repercussion or consequences, and you'll be surprised that they go, oh, I didn't realize that. Or they may have a conflict with their senior managers, for example. Okay. And often, so how do they deal with the conflicts? Aggressive, passive, you know what I mean? Right. Again, the zero-sum game, right? I win, you lose, that kind of thing.
Or you win, I lose, because if I'm
exactly. Exactly. Right. Or my way or the highway, that's all right. So you see the struggle. You see the struggle in the world.
Paradox of success.
Yes, that's why I call it paradox of success. So address all this. All right. I think it's obvious enough to know what is success. It's all, it's not like in the
transient. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I am the thought leader paradigm of success, where I actually look at all this that is not obvious at all.
Okay. So you wrote a book, Success Redefined. You wrote it with Jack Canfield, who's the guy behind Chicken Soup for the Soul, if anybody's old enough. And if you're watching on video, if you're watching in the podcast, you can hear Nancy holding up her book.
Yes. You're watching the video, you can see that, yeah.
There we are. So you redefine success. How do you redefine success? So you've got your problems, you recognize what they are, but in order to actually fit that within a framework that doesn't fight against itself, how do you redefine success?
First, I have to look at, first I look at pain points, what I call them pain points, all right? So we have to expose our pain point. Okay. That means we have to acknowledge what it is and not like brush it under the carpet and think that everything is fine. Just, forge on and be positive, things will just, get better. It's not what I call it, the fake positivity. Mm-hmm. The other day I was doing my group coaching and it was interesting that I said this. I said, we know, we heard about this 1,000 times. Don't be emotional, be logical, right? Be logical, be rational. And I said, often being logical may not work. And I did. Yeah. I had like 35 people, all right, in my group. And they go, what? I said, yeah, because it's your logic against my logic. Mm. My rationale against your rationale. It may not, correct? I mean, sure, don't be emotional. Sure, that's true. Don't be emotional. But logic may not necessarily work because it's my idea against yours or your perception against my perception, one of those. Then, of course, they look at me, then what works? I said, factual. So I've lived my life factually.
Okay.
We cannot debate facts.
An objective fact. Well, the objectivity is difficult.
Okay. I mean, facts as, for example, like, okay, just using what was facts, like, if we take any rat poison, we will die. That's a fact. I mean, if somebody wants to debate that and try it, okay, fine.
Okay, fine.
Exactly that kind of facts I'm talking about, right? The sun rises, right? Technically, it's still wrong. It's an expression, right? The earth evolved around the sun. But as an expression, we say the sun rises, which is still a sun. So that is a fact. That giving metaphor was the fact. So the fact is, despite my professional success, I feel this void. That's a right? It's real because I wake up to it. I go to sleep with it, right? So that's why I'm trying to say that the fact of like, it's real. So address it. Don't pretend it's not there. Or it's just one of those things. Or distractor, all right? Go drink, go eat, distract the mind and do something else to feel better. That's a bad thing to do. Or the stress is getting the better of you. The health is just deteriorating. Why? Simple. Our brain produces chemical. Feel good chemical. Feel bad chemical. So good chemicals are, dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, all that good. Hence why I look good. Okay. Because my brain produces good chemical. I'm the happy Nancy. All right. So what's the bad chemical? Cortisol. Cortisol are regarded as slow poison. Mm-hmm. It will attack our organs. So a lot of senior executives say, God, I got this acid reflux. Mm-hmm. Where does that come from? Right? Or they have outbursts of eczema, hypertension, insomnia. Right? Again, the body does not lie. When the body gives you all this signal, these are facts. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
These are facts. Something is not right. Because, for example, sleep is natural. Just like thirst and hunger is natural. Mm-hmm. Right? We're thirsty, we drink water, and time to, when we feel hungry, we eat. But when a person can't eat or eat too much, the body is telling you something.
So listen to the facts.
Correct. That's what I mean by the facts. So it's not my fact or fact, but it's the fact that it's happening. Mm-hmm. It's happening, right? Who do I want to fool? Myself, really. And I often say that if I'm no good, I'm no good for anybody. So even I can be sitting at the height of this big organization and I'm not feeling good. If I'm not feeling good, how do I, manage my team? Mm-hmm. I'm not feeling good. If like now I'm not feeling good, I can't talk to you properly. Of course can't. I'm going like, ooh, I'm nursing my headache, or I'm nursing, something not feeling right. Or fact, there are really some unresolved traumas. Fact. Yeah. It doesn't go away. We don't address it. So this is what I do with all the senior executives. I look at facts. So every day, I run my own personal practice. It's my office. They will come to me in person. Of course, I do Zoom also, but often they come to me in person. All right. And I sit and I go through all these facts with them, and then we address that. Just like this morning of this lady, she's very successful, but she somehow attracted the wrong kind of man into her life. She's 45, but then without needing a lot of details. And I actually said to her, the reason why you attracted wrong kind of people, and that's not only wrong kind of men, also the wrong kind of clients, right? Because as I listened to her, she would attract clients that would kind of so-called take advantage of her. Of course, my term, I said, can't you see that this lady is using you? Oh, really? I can't even see that. I thought I'm just being nice.
Yeah. Okay. So we're exposing and acknowledging pain points. No fake positivity, no cheerleading. Right? I don't like cheerleading.
Yes.
You're listening to the objective facts around your situation, your life, your body, telling you these things. So we're on our journey to redefine success.
No, then we have to deep dive. Where did that come from?
Where did it come from? Okay.
To address it. Okay. Then only when you do that, then we can rewire so-called our thinking, our approach. That's success redefined.
So then we rewire.
Yes.
Okay. So
everything has an end with the way we think.
I think if we actually knew how powerful our thoughts were, we'd be very cautious about what it was we thought.
Correct. The very classic book by James Allen, As a Man Think, Thinketh, As a Man Think, with a TH behind. James Allen is a classic, a very thin book. All right, you could actually search it and download it for free. You don't have to buy it, but it's a classic book. I would call it really the Bible of thinking, the Bible of thoughts. That was the book before everything else or any other books that came out with whatever else. You know what I mean?
It's not about 1903.
Yes, that old, yeah. Exactly.
So we're 120 years old.
That's
I love books like that. I love things like that.
Yeah. That's the origin of all that, and where we come. So success redefines, because that, okay, then you rewire the way you think. And not just that, and what's very powerful, all of our feelings is coming from thoughts created in the moment. I say that again. All of our feelings is coming from thoughts created in the moment. So we do not create thoughts. It's universal. It was here before we were born. All right. Nobody create thoughts, so-called it was here before we were born. All right. So therefore, knowing this principle, I would call it this principle, then we don't have to pay too much attention to some of these thoughts, because it's just thoughts coming and going. Thoughts has no power until we give it, right?
That's very profound. I mean, from the James Allen book, I mean, there's a quote from, I guess, Proverbs 23 is, as a man thinketh, so shall he be. Right?
Yes.
As a man thinketh, so shall he be. It's from Proverbs.
Right.
And then you have Dale Carnegie, who built on that. You have Norman Vincent Peale, who built on that. You have all these people in the 20s, 30s who were looking at this power of thought as an engine. And exactly as you said, the thought has no power unless you give it attention.
Correct. Beautiful. So then if you really understand this principle, some thoughts are just, passing by, it's just like we walk down the street, we see people passing by, take no notice, right? Then only when we use our deliberate thinking, like planning, problem solving, looking for solutions, then our mind become very sharp, because we are not cluttered with all kind of thoughts that we put attention to. That's how we use our mind, so-called.
So that overcomes these are the foundational mindsets, not even mindsets, foundational understandings.
Yes,
the foundational understandings.
Correct. You see, a lot of people overthink. So when you overthink, the mind is cluttered. So when it comes time to really use your mind to solve problems, can't be that sharp, right? Because it's so cluttered. Yeah. But if my mind is so-called blank for lack of expression. Blank is because it's not cluttered, kind of blank. So when I need to use it, I become very sharp, very alert, agile. But if my mind is so cluttered, it's not possible. It's just like the room we are in. If we have a lot of furniture and all cluttered, how we maneuver our way out, right? We can't.
Yeah.
The same here. And unfortunately, we cannot see the room if it's cluttered. We can see physically, right? We can see, but the mind we cannot see. So that again can make us factually make us feel bad for no reason. And this part of it is may not even come from childhood. It's just coming from our overthinking and overthinking and overthinking, and this clutter our mind. And then our mind become down instead of sharp.
Yeah. I mean, I think there are ways, relatively straightforward ways of uncluttering your mind in the moment. Things like deep breathing, gentle meditation, prayer, whatever works in the moment. You can open your mind, because it's that when you have this amygdala shouting at you and saying, run, look, a lion, whatever it's saying to you, you're not creative. You cannot create, you can't imagine your way out of the problem. You can only imagine yourself in the moment with a lion in front of you that you have to run from. And if you don't run from it, your body is saying, well, you didn't run from it. You haven't used all these helpful chemicals I was giving you. I gave you cortisol, which is really good. It pumps fat and sugar into your blood so you can run. But you didn't run. You sat on your ass. So now the cortisol is going to give you a heart attack. Is that okay?
No, I like this example we just gave. If it's the real danger of the lion, then that cortisol is to save our life.
It's useful. That's what it's for.
Exactly. But what if it's not a real lion? It's a perceived danger. Then your brain keeps producing that cortisol. That's the killer.
Literally the killer.
Yeah, it's a perceived danger, right? It's a perceived danger. It's not a real danger. Sure, a car coming your way, a lion coming your way. A real danger is to save our life, right? All the blood that rushes to our limb, we run or we fight with the lion, whichever case, all right? The real danger. And that should be the case. But the problem in our life, how many times do we have the real lion in front of us?
Very rarely. But we have things that look like lions a lot. We have this sensory environment around us that overloads us all the time with all these things that we think look like lions, but they're not.
Correct.
And exactly as you said, there are so many things that are in our own heads already that are going, And in reality, you've got to just say it's not a lion, it's a kitty cat. Off we go.
Exactly. So that's what I mean by, again, fact. See what I mean? Facts, right? Yeah. So I would like to know your listeners to really sit back and know how to differentiate between facts, perceived idea.
Okay.
Of course, everything is perception. But again, like I said, facts are facts. It's not perceived, it's facts. Like the lion is a fact, right? A car is coming. I thought I could cross the road and then, instinctually, all right, I saw the car. Sure, that's a fact, right? I don't go, really? Did I perceive it? Did I imagine there's a car? That to me, no, that's a fact.
The imaginary car sent you to hospital.
So that is really very much overlooked because, as we become more successful, we become, higher in the hierarchy. We tend to be focus on getting things done.
Yeah.
Things done. Every day is about getting things done, which of course is important. But then again, the mind again can get cluttered, sometimes get confused, sometimes get even, we fool ourselves.
I mean, the confusion thing I think is important because when our minds are not where they should be, when they're not open and relaxed enough so we can be creative, we tend to look to the wrong places for things. We look inward for solutions when we should be looking out at the environment. We look outwards for solutions when we should be looking inwards into ourselves. So we said, I think you used the word inside out.
Yes, correct. Inside out. And you see, we are not children. We know so much that we don't even know what we know.
Yeah.
No, really, we know so much that you don't even know what we know because it's just like we have this big library, right? But then when we have a clear mind, then we are able to retrieve that file easily. See? But then again, with that confusion or the cluttered mind or the perceived danger all the time, I'm at the edge. Then I'm always like, the perceived danger, like the lion. So I'm always panicky. And I've got a lot of clients, right? They come to me for anxiety attack, a panic attack. There's no reason. They wake up in the middle of the night, like their chest, it's like, oh my God, it's so tight. almost like a heart attack, but it's not a heart attack, but because of that, that the panic. And then you see the sympathetic nervous system is the active part. Then the parasympathetic nervous system is when we are resting. So often is when we are resting, all that not good stuff show up. That's why insomnia, hypertension, eczema, panic attack, anxiety shows up when we are at rest, when we take a holiday. You see? Because we have this most of us have this resilience that when we are at something that no matter how challenging, we just have that power to go on.
You get done. You get it done.
You get done, and it's like, you even, and then, your brain is pumping all that, a good chemical for you to fight it. That's all good. But when you rest and relax, it's like, it clash.
You get sick. I mean, I don't know how many times I used to go on holiday and I would get sick straight.
Yes,
correct. Your immune system goes, and relax. But
that's the parasympathetic nervous system.
Yeah.
Again, these are facts. Biology is science, you know what I mean? But people would not want to look at it. They'll just go for the what? Doctors, get some medication.
Have a pill.
No. And the treatment is not in the parasympathetic nervous system. It's in the sympathetic nervous system.
The active, which is nice because you can control it. You can't do anything about your breathing rate. You can't do that. But you can fix your sleep, and you can fix your nutrition, and you can fix your exercise. You can do these things.
Correct. Exactly.
Or your meditation, or your prayer life, or whatever it is you want to fix. You mentioned something about accessing these little compartments of knowledge. And there was a chap building on the idea of James Allen and Norman Vincent Peale and all these guys. There's a chap called Jose Silva.
Yes.
And he writes about thought control, mind control. And you're thinking, what, you can control people's minds? No. You control your own. Is to control your own. Is to access your fount of knowledge. And if you get in this position, and this is the motivating factor for an executive, do you want to perform better than you are now, even at your fighting best? Well, yes, of course I do. And why?
Let me give you the reference of this Jose Silva. I was teaching the Silva Method course for 12 years.
I love it.
I was the director of Singapore for this program. And the science, again, the fact, and why I've been teaching it for a long time, the science behind it is to put ourselves in the optimum brainwave called alpha. Yes. So when we are in the optimum brainwave, in the alpha brainwave, we are creative, we are productive, we are relaxed, we are not panicky, even at our awake state. I'm not talking about sleeping state. We are sharp at the alpha, right? There are 4 brainwave. Delta, which is like, when you see children, they sleep and it's just like a log with a sleep. Yes, exactly, right? So that's the delta. Then the theta is our childhood memories. This is what I meant by when I take someone to get to the root cause, we go to theta brainwave. Then the alpha brainwave is where we can also be in the alpha brainwave, not only when we're sleeping, but also awake. And that's the optimum. Bad news, beta. Beta brainwave, the higher someone is in that brainwave, all right, the more confused, the more cluttered, the more angry, the more upset, the more depressed. I have dealt with very depressed people, and I measure their brainwave is high beta. They are like not doing anything, they're not doing anything. They're so depressed, they don't do anything, but their brainwave is going high. When you are overthinking, it's in beta brainwave.
But you're overthinking.
Meditation, deep meditation, alpha.
Alpha, exactly. And in alpha, you access everything else.
Correct.
I mean, you can call it, there was a lovely study. I think it was some monks, and they studied the brain activity of monks in deep prayer. And their brains were going nuts. It was full on alpha. And you'd think these people sitting in meditative poses, nothing. But wow, their brains were lit up like Christmas trees in full alpha. It was wonderful. And it's exactly this sort of accessing. I think from a motivational point of view, I was talking to somebody this afternoon about how do they help somebody else in a stress situation, somebody in their team, deeply stressed, overworking, not exercising, not eating well. What do they say? It's like, you need to exercise and eat more, but they're not going to listen. But I think an angle could be, do you want to do even better? Well, yes, I want to work even harder. Then relax.
Correct. If we think about it, right? You are, and all your listeners, right? Have a think. When do we get the best results in our life? when we're relaxed. When do we get our best out